She didn't know the man standing over her was her father. That was the first hook life ever handed her, waking up on cold gravel, cheek pressed against a tire track, a pair of expensive leather shoes inches from her face. The morning sky was still dark, just bruised purple around the edges, and she couldn't breathe at first. Her chest burned like someone had pushed fire into it. She was 12. She was freezing. And the only thing she could hear was the steady click, click, click of a man tapping a metal ring against his phone. He didn't look down at her for a long time. He was talking to someone, calm. Too calm for the way she was dying right there on the dirt. "Yes," he said. "It's done. You'll receive confirmation by noon." "No, she won't be found." "Hook one." The girl blinked hard. Her vision blurred in patches, as if someone smeared fingerprints across the world. Her body felt wrong, heavy, like something had been taken out of her. She tried to push herself up, but her arm buckled under her weight. The man finally looked down. "You're awake," he said. No panic. No surprise, just irritation, like she had interrupted him. "WH, who are you?" she whispered. He crouched, face perfectly still. His jaw was sharp, his suit black, his tie perfectly knotted. Every part of him screamed money. Power, control, a predator dressed like a CEO, sharp enough to cut someone open without using a blade. He reached out, not to help her, but to grab a piece of duct tape stuck to her sweater. He peeled it off like he was removing lint. "You are not supposed to wake up yet," he said. "You children always ruin the clean parts." He stood up again, dusting his hands. "Stay still. It'll be easier shortly." Hook two. She tried to scream, but her throat hurt. It hurt like she'd swallowed glass. She didn't know where she was. She didn't know why her clothes were dirty. She didn't know why she felt dizzy or why the world kept tilting sideways. She didn't know anything except that this man, this stranger, wasn't planning to help her or let her live. He turned away, stepping toward a silver SUV parked just off the road. The engine was still running. Warm air puffed from the exhaust in white clouds. Then she heard another voice, a deeper one. Rough, with anger hidden under every word. "What the hell are you doing?" The man spun. "You weren't supposed to be here yet." The second man stepped into view, a heavy jacket, a beanie, broad shoulders. He looked like someone who spent more time cutting trees than sitting in meetings. His name was Ezra Cole, though she wouldn't learn that until much later. And right now, he wasn't looking at her. He was staring directly at the rich man like he was staring at a monster, only he could see clearly. "You told me she'd be unconscious," Ezra hissed. "You told me she wouldn't," his voice cracked. "She's a kid, Vincent." Vincent, that was the name the gravel girl would remember forever. The girl tried to sit up again. "Failed again," Vincent sighed. "Ezra, do not start this again," we agreed. "You get the money. I get the silence, and the world never learns I had a daughter." Hook three. The girl's heart slammed into her ribs. Daughter, she had a father. Someone, anyone. Everything inside her screamed that this man wasn't it. He couldn't be. No one's father talked like that. Ezra stepped between them. "You can't leave her out here. She needs a hospital. She needs to disappear," Vincent corrected. "You came here to ensure that." "That was before I saw her face." Ezra snapped. "She's just a kid." Vincent rolled his eyes, and, "Kids go missing all the time. Do what you came to do." Ezra didn't move. "Ezra," Vincent said slowly, "don't pretend to be a hero. Heroes die, poorly." Then he walked, calm as ever, back to the SUV, opened the door, and slid in. The headlights flashed on, blinding the girl for a second. She lifted her hand weakly to block the light. "Ezra," Vincent called through the open window, "either finish it, or I will." Then the SUV rolled forward. Ezra's chest rose and fell like a man trying not to explode. He turned slowly toward the girl. She shrank back, trembling. She didn't know who he was. She didn't know if he was here to save her or finish the job Vincent wanted done. His boots crunched on the gravel as he approached. Her breath caught, her throat tightened, her fingers dug weakly into the dirt. Ezra knelt. "Kid," he whispered, voice cracking, "look at me." She didn't want to, but she did, and something in his face, something scared, something guilty, something furious, made her stop shaking. "You don't know me," he said, "but I swear to God I am not letting that man take another damn thing from this world." He scooped her into his arms. She gasped, her ribs screamed, but he didn't stop. He carried her away from the road, away from the SUV tracks, into the trees. Behind them, Vincent's SUV paused. The brake lights glowed blood red. For one moment, the forest went dead silent. Then the SUV sped off. Hook 4. Ezra kept walking until he was deep enough that no one could see them. He set her down on a fallen log and ripped off his jacket to wrap around her. She didn't understand why he was shaking more than she was. He took off his beanie and placed it gently on her head. "What's your name?" he asked softly. She tried to speak, coughed instead. Her voice barely pushed out one word. "Don't know." Ezra froze. You don't know your name?" he whispered. She shook her head. Ezra leaned back, hands on his knees, eyes squeezed shut. "Damn it," he whispered. Damn it," Vincent said. "He said it wouldn't erase everything. He said it would just make you forget the bad night," he said. He punched the ground hard enough to split skin. The girl flinched. "I'm not mad at you," he said immediately, voice soft again. "I'm mad at myself for believing him." He pulled out his phone, hands trembling. But he didn't dial emergency services. He typed a message instead. "I'm out. Don't contact me again." Then he snapped the SIM card in half. The girl watched him, confused. Ezra lifted her again, cradling her as carefully as possible. "I'm taking you home," he said. "My home. It's not much, but no one will hurt you there." She didn't know what home meant. She only knew that her head hurt, and her throat burned, and she couldn't think straight. And this man was the only warm thing in the freezing woods. She leaned against his chest as he carried her. Ezra Cole had been many things in his life, but this was the first time he'd ever been someone's lifeline. It wouldn't be the last. As he walked, the girl's consciousness flickered in and out. The snow blurred, the trees blended into tall shadows. Ezra's voice echoed in pieces. "You'll be safe. I'm sorry, kid. He won't touch you again." Every few minutes, he checked her pulse, his panic growing each time. He moved faster, half running, slipping in the snow. When they reached his truck, he fumbled the keys twice before getting the door open. He laid her across the front seat, buckled her in, and touched her cheek. "You hold on," he whispered. "Please." Her vision darkened. When she woke again, she was in a tiny cabin. Wooden walls, old heater, boots by the door, tools hanging everywhere. Ezra moved around her fast, grabbing blankets, boiling water, frantically searching a cabinet for medicine. He wasn't calm anymore. He was terrified. "You need a doctor," he kept muttering. "You need a doctor, but I can't take you in. They'll ask questions. They'll run your prints. Vincent will know." He paced, rubbing his face. The girl's small voice broke the panic. "Hurts." Ezra stopped dead. He knelt beside her, cupping her face in both trembling hands. "Look at me," he whispered. "I won't let you die. You hear me? I will figure this out." He took a deep breath. Then he made the first decision that would change both their lives. He dialed a number no one in town was supposed to have. A retired paramedic who lived off the grid, hated police, and owed Ezra a favor from a long time ago. Her name was Maribel Jennings. When Maribel answered, Ezra didn't explain. He just said, "I need you, now. Bring everything." She cursed loudly, grabbed her bag, and 15 minutes later kicked open the cabin door. "What did you drag me into this time?" She froze when she saw the girl on the couch. "Ezra, what the hell? Don't ask." Ezra said, "Just help her." Maribel knelt, checked the girl's pulse, lifted her eyelids, pressed 2 fingers to her neck. "She's been drugged," Maribel said. "Sedatives, heavy ones, too heavy for a kid her size." Ezra's jaw clenched. "Can you reverse it?" "I can try, but she needs fluids, heat, and time." She worked fast, inserting and Roman 4 warming towels, checking vitals. The girl drifted in and out, catching pieces of whispered conversation. "You need to tell me who hurt her." "I can't. The less you know, the safer you are." "Ezra, this isn't small. Somebody meant for her not to live through the night." "I know." Hook 5. After 3 hours of non-stop care, the girl finally stabilized enough to sleep. Ezra sat in an old armchair near the couch, elbows on his knees, head in his hands. Marable looked at him. "You're in deep," she whispered. Ezra didn't look up. "No, kid's the one in deep. I'm the idiot who helped shovel the dirt." She softened slightly. "So what now? What's your plan?" Ezra finally raised his head, eyes red, jaw tight with fury. "I'm going to raise her," he said, "hide her, teach her everything I know, and when she's old enough, I'm going to tell her who tried to kill her." Marable stared. "You're serious, dead serious, Ezra," she said, voice cracking. "That man you're talking about. He's powerful, he's vicious. He's rich enough to erase entire families. He'll erase you too if he finds out." Ezra leaned back, eyes on the sleeping girl. "He might erase me," he whispered, "but he won't erase her." When Marable left, Ezra locked the door, then dragged a chair next to the girl's makeshift bed and didn't move for hours, watching her breathe, watching her chest rise and fall, terrified it would stop again. As dawn crept through the thin curtain, she stirred. Ezra straightened. "Hey," he whispered. "Hey, kid, I'm here." She opened her eyes. For the first time, she saw him clearly, saw the man who'd saved her, saw the fear in his eyes, saw the guilt too. "My name," she whispered. "Do I have one?" Ezra froze, then he nodded slowly. "You do," he said, "but until you remember it, I'll give you another." She blinked up at him. "How about Mira?" he said softly. "Means light, because that's what you're about to become, whether you want to or not." She closed her eyes again, not sleeping, just holding the name, Mira. It felt like a seed planted in darkness, one that would grow into something neither of them could imagine. She didn't know yet. But this night, these men, this freezing dirt road, it was only the first page. Her true story, the one that would burn the world, was still decades away. Ezra leaned back in his chair and whispered, "You're safe, Mira, you're safe." But both of them would learn, painfully, violently, that safety is never real when your bloodline belongs to a man like Vincent Hale. And Vincent, he wasn't done. He wasn't even close. Because villains don't stop when they lose a child. They get smarter. They get richer. They get more dangerous. And some of them start looking for replacements. And Mira, she was about to grow up in the shadow of a man who wanted her erased. A man she didn't remember. A man who didn't stop hunting his own blood. Not ever. Even after she vanished from the world. Even after she learned how to hide. Even after she built a new name, a new life, a new mind sharper than any knife Vincent ever paid for. That's where the second half of her story begins. But for now, this was the night a forgotten girl lived, and the night a monster realized his mistake. Mira's life didn't begin on the night she was saved. It began years later, on a Tuesday, inside a hardware store that smelled like pine, dust, and old heaters. She was 17, taller now, sharper. Her memory worked like a net, catching everything except the most important thing, the years before Ezra found her. Those early memories came only as flashes she couldn't trust. Shadows, headlights, hands she didn't want to remember. Ezra always told her, "When your mind is ready, it'll return on its own." But her mind wasn't gentle. It collected things, patterns, voices, names, habits. She remembered how customers tapped fingers while lying. She remembered how certain men lowered their voices when they were angry. She remembered everyone who joked about the cameras in the store, the ones that didn't actually work. But she didn't remember herself. Not yet. She swept the floor that morning, pushing dust toward the back door, humming. Ezra watched her from the counter, arms crossed, shaking his head. "I swear," he said, "you hum the same tune every morning." She shrugged. "It just shows up." He smiled, soft and sad at the same time. "Maybe it's from before, when I was little," she asked. Ezra nodded. "Before the cabin, before you woke up on that couch." His voice thickened. "Before all this." Mira didn't respond. She didn't like when he talked about before. She didn't like the cold sweat that dripped down her back every time something familiar flickered in her mind, a ghost, light from a childhood she couldn't grab. But there was one thing she did know. Ezra loved her. Not like a father. He said he had no right to that word. Not like a savior. He swore he didn't deserve that either. He loved her like a man desperately trying to fix the single worst mistake he'd ever made. By noon, the store was quiet. Ezra was replacing a shelf bracket when the bell above the door chimed. A tall man stepped in gray suit, trench coat, sunglasses despite being indoors. Mira looked up. The world tilted. Because his voice, when he said good afternoon, was a voice she knew, not a memory, not a guess, not a dream. Her skin prickled. Ezra didn't even look over. Help you find something. The man didn't move further into the store. He kept his hands in his coat pockets. His posture was relaxed, but his jaw was tight. So tight Mira thought he might crack a tooth. I'm actually looking for someone, he said. A girl, 17 maybe, dark hair, sharp eyes. She would have come into this town years ago. Ezra's hands froze on the bracket. Mira's heart slammed. The man smiled without warmth. I'm her uncle. Mira didn't speak, couldn't. Ezra straightened slowly, wiping dust off his hands. We don't get many newcomers, sir. You sure she's from here? The man nodded. Certain. Ezra's voice went cool and flat. What's her name? The man paused. 1 second too long, and Ezra saw it. Mira. The man said finally. He didn't ask how Ezra reacted. He didn't move. He just watched Mira the whole time, even though he'd spoken to Ezra. Ezra stepped between them. You're mistaken. No one by that name here. The man tilted his head. I wasn't asking you. Mira's breath thinned. Ezra's jaw flexed. She's my kid. The man smiled. Is she? Ezra took a step forward. You need to leave. I traveled a long way. The man said softly, I'm not leaving without her. Mira's chest tightened as the man turned his head slightly, just slightly, and she saw a scar under his jaw. A thin, pale line. A line her mind recognized. A line that made her vision flicker, a steering wheel, bright lights, voices, shouting, someone grabbing her cold air duct tape, the smell of cologne, the words, finish it. She stumbled back, hand gripping a shelf. Ezra saw it. He stepped forward fast. You have 3 seconds to... The man reached into his jacket. Mira gasped. Ezra grabbed the nearest thing, a wrench, and swung it in one movement. The man blocked the hit with his forearm, winced, then reached deeper into his coat. Ezra moved faster than Mira ever saw him move. He tackled the man into the counter. Items fell. Glass shattered. The man slammed his elbow into Ezra's ribs and tried pulling out whatever was in his jacket. Ezra punched him 1, 2, 3 times, hard enough to leave the man groaning. He snatched the object from the man's coat, not a gun, not a knife, but a photograph. Ezra froze. The photograph showed a 4-year-old girl wearing a blue dress. Her face was unmistakable, Mira, except she had a different name printed on the back, Liana Hale, age 4. Ezra's hands trembled. The man coughed, wiping blood from his lip. I told you, he whispered. I'm her uncle. Ezra dragged him toward the door and shoved him out into the gravel. Get off my property. He growled, now. The man straightened his suit, breathing hard. Vincent won't be as patient. Mira felt the name hit her like ice water. Ezra charged forward again, and the man hurried to the black sedan parked outside. It peeled out fast, gravel spraying. Ezra locked the door and turned toward Mira. His face wasn't angry. It was destroyed. Mira, I wasn't ready to tell you, not like this. She took a step toward him. Who's Vincent? Ezra closed his eyes. Ezra, she whispered, voice cracking. Who is he? He opened them again, and Mira saw something in his face she had never seen before. Fear, not fear for himself, fear of the truth. Mira, he said, voice barely audible, Vincent Hale, is your father. She staggered. Ezra rushed forward to steady her, but she shook him off. No, she whispered. No, my father, my father. She couldn't finish. Ezra swallowed hard. Your real name is Liana Hale. Her legs almost gave out. Ezra reached for her again, but she slipped away, backing up until her shoulders hit the wall. You lied to me, she whispered. Ezra stepped back like she had slapped him. I didn't lie, I protected you. You lied, Mira. My name isn't Mira. she said, voice breaking. You just made it up. Ezra looked shattered. You needed a name, he whispered. What else did you make up? She shouted. What else? Ezra lowered his head. Too much. The room felt like it was spinning. Ezra breathed in once, a shaky inhale that sounded like a man preparing to confess to murder. Vincent tried to kill you, he said. Mira pressed her palm against the wall. The night I found you. Ezra said quietly, I wasn't some hero. I was working for him. Her breath hitched. Ezra continued. I was supposed to leave you in the woods. Mira covered her mouth, choking back a sound. Ezra's eyes filled, but I couldn't. I saw you shivering, barely breathing, and I couldn't let it happen. Mira felt the floor beneath her shifting, cracking open. Ezra stepped closer. I know you hate me right now, he whispered, and you should. But everything I did after that night, every lie, every secret, every sacrifice, I did it to keep you alive. Mira shook her head, tears slipping down her cheeks. Why would he want me dead? Ezra wiped his face with the back of his hand. Because of what you saw. She looked up sharply. What did I see? Ezra hesitated. Mira stepped forward, eyes burning. What did I see? Ezra exhaled. The night you were taken, you witnessed something in that house, something that could destroy him. Mira stared at him, frozen. You were too young to understand it. Ezra said, but you remembered it, and Vincent panicked. What did I see? She whispered again. Ezra's voice dropped. You saw him kill someone. The words punched the air out of her lungs. Mira fell into a chair, gripping the seat with both hands. Ezra crouched in front of her. He spent years covering it up, and you're the only loose end. Mira's mind spun like a hurricane. He found me, she whispered. He found me today. Ezra nodded. He'll be back, he said. He always comes back when he's cornered. Mira's tears slowly dried into something else, something colder. What do we do? She asked. Ezra stood, pacing, running both hands through his hair. I need to get you out of town, tonight. Somewhere nobody knows your face. Change your name again, no. Ezra froze. She stood, not shaking, not crying, not breaking. Her voice was steady. No more running. Ezra stared at her like he didn't recognize her. What are you saying? She stepped closer, eyes sharper than he'd ever seen. You said I saw him kill someone. Ezra nodded. Then that means I'm the only one who can bring him down. Ezra's jaw locked, merely. Anna, no, you don't understand who Vincent is. He has money, power, politicians in his pocket. Then I'll take his power, she said. Ezra blinked. How? I'll go back, she said. Ezra's face drained of color. What? She took one breath, then another. He wants to find me, then I'll let him, but on my terms. Ezra shook his head violently. Absolutely not. You raised me to be strong, to be smart, to fight, and now you want me to hide. You're not ready, he whispered. She stepped closer. I'm not that kid in the snow anymore. Ezra's eyes brimmed again. Mira, she softened. I'm not doing it alone. Ezra swallowed. What do you mean? She held up the photograph Ezra had wrestled from the man's pocket. This man, she said, pointing at the scarred jawline. He's Vincent's brother. Ezra hesitated. Half-brother, which means, she said, he might hate Vincent as much as we do. Ezra's brows furrowed. You want to find him, are you insane? No, she said. Just done being scared. Ezra sat heavily. Mira, this man is dangerous. He's as twisted as Vincent. She shook her head. He didn't kill me, she whispered. He could have, but he didn't. Ezra stared at her. And slowly, reluctantly, he realized she wasn't the lost child he rescued anymore. She was something else now. She was the one person Vincent Hale should have feared most. We'll need a plan, Ezra said finally. Mira nodded once. I already have one, she whispered. Ezra blinked. What? She smiled. Not happily, coldly, sharply, like a girl remembering the first fragments of her past. I remember his cologne, she said. That man today. I remember it from the night in the woods. Ezra froze. Mira continued. And I remember a room, a hallway with marble floors, a mirror, and a woman screaming. Ezra grabbed the edge of the counter to stay upright. Mira, your memory's unlocking, she nodded. Piece by piece, the forgotten night was crawling back out of the darkness, and I think, she whispered, I know where that house was. Ezra shook his head. No, no way, you were 4. I remember the window, she said, the big tree outside, the driveway curve, I can draw it. Ezra stared at her. If she could draw the layout, if she could map the rooms, if she could recall what happened, then she could expose everything Vincent spent 12 years burying. Ezra sank into a chair. This is bigger than I thought. Mira picked up the photograph again. I want answers, she whispered, about me, about him, about why he wanted me dead. Ezra rubbed his eyes. And I want justice, she added, real justice. Ezra finally looked up. You're going to destroy him, he whispered. Mira nodded, yes, but first, she said, gripping the photograph, I'm going to find his brother. Ezra's blood ran cold. You're walking straight into danger. She shook her head. No, I'm walking into the truth. Ezra stared at her for a long moment, then exhaled. Then we start at dawn. Mira nodded, but she didn't sleep that night. She sat by the window, clutching the photograph of herself as a 4-year old she didn't remember being, because somewhere out there, a man with the same last name was looking for her, not to save her, not to kill her, to deliver her to the monster she once escaped. And Mira wasn't running this time. This time, she was hunting back. Ezra's truck moved through the forest like a shadow, quiet, cold, heavy. Dawn light broke between the trees, but Mira hadn't slept. Not for a second. She sat stiff in the passenger seat, hood pulled low, fingers gripping the photograph of her 4-year-old self. Ezra watched her from the corner of his eye. You sure you're ready for this? He asked. Mira didn't blink. I've been ready since the moment he walked into the store. Ezra swallowed. He hadn't argued with her again. Not after the moment she'd drawn from memory the blueprint of Vincent Hale's estate, a blueprint almost perfect, a blueprint no 4-year-old should have remembered. But she remembered things no child was meant to witness. Ezra turned onto a long road, gravel popping under the tires. If we find the brother, you don't talk unless I say, you don't approach him, you don't trust him. Mira kept her eyes forward. I don't trust anyone with the name Hale. Ezra exhaled. Good. The cabin, like houses, thinned out. The road twisted deeper into the mountains until the sky opened wide above them. Ezra pulled off to a small turnout overlooking the valley. The map says the contact lives down there, he said. Name's Cal Whitaker, ex-lawyer, old, mean, paranoid as hell. But if Vincent's brother tried to find you, Cal will have heard about it. Mira pocketed the photograph and stepped out of the truck. Cold wind slapped her face. Ezra locked the doors. You let me talk, he repeated. If things go wrong, they won't, Mira said. Ezra sighed. She walked ahead anyway. The house at the bottom of the slope was small, metal, roofed, surrounded by a fence patched with mismatched boards. A hand-painted sign on the front gate read, Trespassers get one warning, sometimes. Ezra muttered, Great. They made it halfway down the path before a shotgun blast cracked the air. A warning shot, right above their heads. Ezra froze. Mira didn't even flinch. The front door swung open. A tall, wiry old man aimed a shotgun from the porch, eyes ice. Blue and furious. Turn around, he barked. You got 5 seconds. Ezra lifted his hands. Cal Whitaker, we're not here to cause trouble. Everyone who causes trouble says that. Mira stepped forward. Ezra reached to pull her back, but she shook him off. We're here because of Vincent Hale, she said. Cal's finger tightened on the trigger. Don't say that name on my land, he snapped. Mira didn't back down. You know something, she said, about him and about his family. Cal's eyes narrowed. Ezra whispered, Mira, stop. But she kept going. I need information about a man with a scar on his jaw, Mira said. He's Vincent's brother. Cal lowered the shotgun slightly, and that was the first sign something was off. He wasn't confused. He wasn't shocked. He was afraid. Get inside, Cal said abruptly. Ezra blinked. What? Both of you, Cal snapped. Move before someone sees. They hurried in. Cal slammed the door and dragged 3 metal locks across it. He stormed to the window, peering out from behind faded curtains. Did he follow you? Cal asked in a low growl. Ezra frowned. Who? Vincent's brother. Cal shook his head. No, him. Mira stiffened. Vincent? No, Cal said. The other one. Ezra turned to Mira. Who else? Cal looked at Mira. Really looked. His face drained. Oh hell, he whispered. It's you. Mira stepped back. What does that mean? Cal didn't answer. Instead, he paced to a desk covered with old legal folders, receipts, newspaper clippings, and burned edges of documents that looked like they'd survived a fire. You don't just walk into the open talking about the Hales, Cal muttered. Especially not now, not after what happened last month. Ezra's shoulders tensed. What happened last month? Cal slid a newspaper across the table. The headline read, Local attorney found dead in alleged home invasion. Ezra exhaled. He got killed because he knew something. Cal nodded. He handled Vincent's offshore assets, tried to pull records for a federal audit. Next morning, dead. Mira scanned the article, throat tightening. Cal pointed at the clipping, and I know more than he did. Ezra stepped forward. We came here because someone contacted you years ago. A man with a scar. Stop right there, Cal said sharply. That scar on his jaw, that ain't his brother. Ezra froze. What? Cal didn't blink. Vincent Hale doesn't have a brother. Mira's breath caught. Ezra shook his head. The man said, he lied. Cal hissed. Everyone lies around Vincent, because lying is safer than telling the truth. Ezra's jaw tightened. Then who is he? Cal exhaled long and slow. He's worse. Mira lifted her chin. Who is he? Cal stared at her like he was looking at a ghost. They call him the archivist. Mira's stomach flipped. Ezra frowned. What kind of name? Cal cut him off. He's Vincent's fixer. Cleaner, the man you call when you need evidence gone, people gone, children gone. Mira felt the room shrink around her. Cal continued. He was there the night you disappeared. Ezra stepped forward. How do you know that? Cal pointed at another file. A grainy security still shot in near darkness, a tall man dragging someone down a marble hallway, a man with a scar under his jaw. Mira's hands shook. That's him, she whispered. Cal nodded. His real name doesn't matter. It changes every 6 months, but everyone calls him the archivist because he cleans the Hale family history. Ezra clenched his fists. He came into our store, looking for her. Cal slammed the folder shut. Then you're already on a clock. Mira felt cold spread through her chest. Why does he want me? She asked. Cal sat down, rubbing his temples. Because you're the only person who's ever slipped through Vincent Hale's hands, and because your bloodline is the one thing Vincent can't let exist. Mira exchanged a nervous look with Ezra. What bloodline? She asked. Cal exhaled and looked at her with something like pity. Mira, you weren't the first. Ezra froze. Mira's pulse stopped. What? Cal nodded grimly. You weren't Vincent's only child. Mira slowly sat down. Ezra whispered, What are you saying? I'm saying. Cal replied, Vincent had 4 children. Mira felt dizzy. 3 girls. Cal continued, and 1 boy. Ezra whispered, but the records were erased by the archivist. Mira's voice fractured. What happened to them? Cal's jaw clenched. All 4 children witnessed something they shouldn't have. All 4 disappeared, and all 4, he paused, were declared dead within a year. Mira felt her stomach twist. Ezra leaned forward. All 4, then Mira. Cal nodded. She's the one that got away. Silence, painful, suffocating silence. Cal leaned closer. You have to understand. Vincent isn't scared of you because you survived. He's scared of what children remember. Mira's throat tightened. Memories hit her like sparks, a woman screaming marble floors, a man shouting blood, shattered glass running hands, grabbing her shoulders, duct tape, cold air Ezra's face. Ezra noticed her grip the table. Mira breathed. She inhaled sharply. Cal, what did I see? Cal hesitated. I can't tell you exactly, but I know who was killed that night. Mira's heart pounded. Who? Cal whispered. Your mother. Ezra staggered. Mira's body went numb. Cal continued. Vincent's wife was planning to go public about something he was doing. Something massive. Something catastrophic. Mira felt everything inside her tighten. What was he doing? Cal shook his head. If I tell you I'm dead by morning, you don't understand what kind of power he has. Ezra slammed a hand on the table. Tell us. Cal flinched. He looked at Mira. You saw her die, he whispered. You saw what Vincent did, and he knew a child, even a 4-year-old, never forgets the horror of that kind of night. Mira's hands trembled. Small flashes returned, not shapes, not faces, but sound. A scream cut off abruptly, a body hitting the floor, a reflection in a mirror, her own reflection. Ezra stepped beside her, placing a hand on her shoulder, but Mira didn't look at him. She stared at Cal. Why did he kill her? She asked. Cal swallowed. Because she was going to reveal what he built his empire on. Mira whispered. What did he build it on? Cal closed his eyes. Children. Mira froze. Ezra's face strained. Cal opened a drawer, pulled out a USB drive, and placed it on the table. This is all I have left. Documents, names, financial trails. But it's only a fraction. Vincent has files. Real files stored somewhere even the FBI can't locate. Mira stared. Where? Cal whispered. His mansion has a vault. Not for money, for history, for everything he's done. Ezra frowned. A vault. Cal nodded. And the only person on Earth who can access that vault is the archivist. Ezra cursed under his breath. Cal pointed at Mira. And he wants you, badly, because you remember something that could expose the family, and because... He hesitated. Ezra frowned. Because what? Cal looked at Mira like she was a loaded gun. Because your mother left something behind. Mira's heart slammed. What? Cal leaned in. A message. Mira froze. Cal's voice lowered to a whisper. Your mother left a message inside that house, hidden, and Vincent has been trying to erase it for years, but he can't find it, because it was meant for one person. Mira's voice cracked. For who? Cal pointed at her chest. For you. Ezra's jaw tightened. Why didn't he find it? Cal smiled sadly. Because it's hidden in a place only a child would think to look. Mira felt her breath catch. Cal stood. You want the truth. You want answers. Then you'll have to walk straight into the Hale mansion, and you'll need the archivist to open the vault. Ezra stiffened. We are not stepping into his mansion. Cal shook his head. You don't have a choice. Vincent will come, and when he does, he'll take Mira. He always gets his children back. Mira's eyes narrowed. No, she said. Not this time. Cal looked at her. Then you need to do the unthinkable. Ezra crossed his arms. What's that? Cal's eyes hardened. You need to find the archivist. Ezra's breath hitched. The man who almost killed her. Cal nodded. The only man Vincent fears. Mira stepped forward, fists clenched. How do we find him? Cal handed her a slip of paper. Follow this. It leads to a place Vincent doesn't know exists. Ezra snatched it. What place? Cal exhaled. The one place the archivist ever goes when he's not on a job. Mira leaned forward. Cal whispered, his mother's grave. Mira froze. Ezra frowned. Why would he go there? Cal whispered, because even monsters worship something. The room went quiet. Mira tucked the slip of paper into her jacket. Ezra looked at her. Mira, if we follow this, there's no going back. She met his eyes. There was no going back the moment I woke up in that snow. Ezra closed his eyes. Cal unlocked the back door. You leave through the woods, not the road. They monitor the roads. Ezra nodded. Thank you. Cal shook his head. Don't thank me. You're dragging death behind you. Mira stepped outside, cold wind whipping her hair. As Ezra followed, Cal called out, Liana. She turned. Cal's voice softened. She loved you, you know, your mother. She tried to save you that night. Mira swallowed hard. Did she succeed? Cal looked at her with pain written deep across his face. Ask yourself this, he said. If she didn't succeed, why are you still alive? The question hit harder than any truth yet. Mira said nothing. She just walked into the trees, Ezra behind her. They didn't speak for a long time. Not until they reached the truck again. Ezra leaned against the door, gripping the handle. Mira, he whispered, we don't have to do this. She looked up at him. Yes, she said, we do. Ezra exhaled. What if the archivist tries to kill you again? Mira held up the photo of herself at age 4. He didn't kill me last time. Ezra shook his head. That was luck. Mira's voice lowered. No, that was hesitation. Ezra frowned. What makes you think he'll hesitate again? Mira looked straight ahead, eyes darkening with a certainty she didn't fully understand. Because I'm the only thing he ever failed to erase. Ezra closed the truck door. Mira tightened her jacket around her shoulders, and together they headed straight toward the graveyard of a monster. Straight toward the man who erased children for a living. Straight toward the truth buried with the dead. And none of them, not Ezra, not Cal, not Mira, realized the most terrifying truth. The archivist was already looking for her too, and he was closer than they thought. Much closer. Close enough to hear the trees move. Close enough to track their footprints. Close enough to smell her cologne, the same faint floral scent she wore as a child. He had missed her once. He would not miss her again. The graveyard sat on the edge of a forgotten mining town. Rusted signs, collapsed roofs, a silence so deep it felt like the air itself was holding its breath. Ezra parked far down the road. Mira stepped out first. The wind carried the scent of pine and cold stone. Ezra tightened his coat. "This is the place." Mira nodded. Cal's note said he visits at sunrise. Ezra checked his watch. "We're early." Mira stared up at the gray sky. "Good. I want to see him before he sees us." They approached the old cemetery, iron gates leaning inward like they were bowing to something unseen. Mira pushed one open. It screeched loud enough to make a flock of birds explode from a nearby tree. Ezra whispered, "We shouldn't stay long." "We won't," Mira said, but something felt wrong. The air was too still, the trees too quiet. She walked between crooked tombstones, eyes scanning the names. Ezra followed close behind, one hand near the concealed knife on his hip. They reached the far corner, where the graves were older, forgotten, halves, wallowed by earth. Mira knelt beside one with a cracked marble stone. Elizabeth Hale, 1971, 1997, loved by none, feared by some. Mira brushed dirt from the stone. "His mother," Ezra nodded. "The archivist comes here. According to Cal," Mira said, "this is the only place he still feels human." Ezra crouched beside her. "What if he doesn't show?" Mira's eyes drifted past the headstone. "He's already here." Ezra tensed. "Where?" Mira pointed. A fresh footprint in the mud. Large, heavy, deep, made minutes ago. Ezra's breath hitched. He reached for her wrist. "We need to go. Now." Mira didn't move. The hairs on her neck rose. She didn't hear him. She felt him. A presence at her back. Cold, silent, patient. The kind of presence that didn't rush. The kind that had followed her for years in the shadows without her knowing. Ezra turned slowly. A man stepped out from behind an old mausoleum. The archivist. No glasses, no coat. Just black clothing. Boots sinking into the earth, and eyes that seemed too calm for the life he lived. The scar under his jaw caught the light like a pale blade. He looked at the grave first, never at them. Then he spoke, voice low, steady. "You shouldn't be here." Ezra moved in front of Mira, stance ready. "Stay where you are." The archivist finally looked at Mira, and something flickered across his face. Recognition, pain, regret. "You survived," he said softly. Mira swallowed. "You let me." A muscle twitched in Ezra's jaw. The archivist shook his head. "No," I hesitated. "That's not the same thing." Mira stepped out from behind Ezra. Ezra grabbed her arm. "Mira, I'm not hiding," she whispered. The archivist watched her with an expression that made Ezra's skin crawl. "Something like guilt, Mira," he said, tasting the name like it hurt. "Your father has been looking for you for 12 years. Mira lifted her chin. "He won't find me." The archivist exhaled. "He already has." Ezra cursed under his breath. "You're lying." The archivist reached into his coat, slowly, palms open, and pulled out a folded piece of paper. He laid it on the cracked stone at his mother's grave. "He sent this to me this morning," the archivist said. "Instructions." Ezra didn't move. Mira picked it up. It was a photograph of her, taken through the hardware store window yesterday. Ezra stiffened. He was watching us. The archivist nodded. "Vincent is everywhere. He's been waiting for this moment, waiting for you to resurface." Mira crushed the photo in her hand. "Then why aren't you taking me to him?" The archivist didn't answer immediately. When he spoke, his voice cracked for the first time. "Because your mother asked me not to." Ezra blinked. Mira froze. "My mother?" The archivist nodded. "I promised her, before she died, that if it ever came to this, I would protect you." Ezra stepped forward, fury flashing. "Protect? You drugged her. You dragged her across a hallway." You left her to die in the woods. The archivist didn't look away. I protected her in the only way Vincent allowed, he said quietly. He was never going to let her live. Mira's voice wavered. Why? The archivist hesitated, and then he said the thing that shifted the ground beneath their feet. Because she wasn't supposed to be born. The silence was suffocating. Ezra whispered, "What does that mean?" The archivist looked directly at Mira. "You were an accident." Mira's breath caught. Ezra growled, "Watch your mouth." The archivist continued, unflinching. "You were never meant to exist. Your mother was supposed to end the pregnancy." Vincent insisted, forced, threatened. Mira's throat tightened, but she refused. He said, and she paid the price. Ezra stepped in front of Mira, blocking the archivist. "Say another word, and your mother left something behind," the archivist said. Ezra froze mid-step. Mira's heart stopped. "What?" she whispered. The archivist met her eyes. "A message. Hidden in the mansion the night she died. She left it for you." Mira's pulse hammered. "I know," he frowned. "How?" "I remember the window," she said. "The hall, the tree outside. I remember running." The archivist exhaled slowly. "Then the message is calling to you." Ezra clenched his fists. "Where?" The archivist hesitated, and Mira realized something crucial. He didn't want to tell her. "Why are you hesitating?" she demanded. The archivist's voice softened. "Because when you find that message, your life will never be the same." Mira stepped closer. "Tell me." The archivist lifted his gaze. "Your mother hid her message in a place Vincent never checks," he said. Mira whispered, "Where?" The archivist pointed at Mira's temple. "In your memory?" Ezra stared. "What are you saying?" The archivist stepped closer, speaking in a whisper. "Your mother knew Vincent would erase everything, erase you, so she hid the truth where only you could retrieve it, inside your childhood mind." Mira's breath shortened. Ezra shook his head. "So how do we access it?" The archivist looked down at the grave, pain crossing his face like a shadow. "You have to return to the place it was recorded," he said. Mira's stomach dropped. "The house!" The archivist nodded. Ezra shouted, "Absolutely not. That's suicide." The archivist shook his head. "No, that's the only way." Mira took a shaky breath. "Will you help us?" Ezra whipped toward her. "Mira, he tried to kill." "He tried," Mira said, "but he didn't." The archivist lowered his eyes. "I didn't kill you because your mother made me swear one thing, that if her child ever came back, I would help her finish what she started." Ezra narrowed his eyes. "What did she start?" The archivist's voice hardened. "Destroying Vincent Hale." A cold wind ripped across the graveyard. Ezra fell silent. Mira closed her eyes, and in that silent moment, something shifted in her mind. A memory, not a flash, not a sound, a moment. She was 4, sitting on a hallway floor, her mother kneeling in front of her, crying, holding her cheeks, whispering, "If you remember nothing else, remember the red door." Mira's eyes shot open. Ezra grabbed her. "Mira, what happened?" She stepped back from him, trembling. "The red door," she whispered. "I remember the red door." The archivist inhaled sharply. "She found it?" Ezra looked between them. "Found what?" The archivist straightened. "The message. It's behind the red door." Mira clenched her fists. "Then we need to go." Ezra shook his head. "Mira, we can't walk into Vincent Hale's mansion. Not without," the archivist interrupted. "You don't have to walk in." Ezra frowned. "What?" The archivist pointed behind them, between the trees, into the shadows. A second man stepped out, large, silent, hooded. He carried a black case. Ezra stepped in front of Mira. "Who the hell?" The archivist raised a hand. "He's with me." Mira stared at the case. "What's inside?" The archivist approached. "Everything you need to get inside the mansion," he said without being seen. Ezra exhaled shakily. "We're actually doing this." Mira nodded once. "Yes." The archivist knelt beside his mother's grave, placing 2 fingers on the cold marble. "I swore I'd protect you." He whispered to Mira, "I failed once. I will not fail again." Mira studied him. For the first time, she saw something in his eyes she never expected. A soul. He stood. "Let's go." Ezra grabbed Mira's hand. "If anything feels wrong, anything, you run." Mira shook her head. "I don't run anymore." They followed the archivist through the trees. His silent partner walked behind them, carrying the case with lethal calm. They reached a hidden lot where a black SUV waited. The archivist opened the back door. "Get in. We don't have much time. Vincent already knows you're alive." Ezra glared. "How?" The archivist looked directly at Mara. "Because your memory is waking up," he said, "and he feels it." Mara swallowed. Ezra helped her into the SUV. The archivist closed the door after them and took the passenger seat. His partner started the engine. The forest blurred past. Ezra whispered, "Mira, are you scared?" She looked out the window, eyes reflecting the rising dawn. "No," she whispered, "I'm angry." Ezra squeezed her hand. "Good." Mira's pulse steadied. "All my life," she said quietly, "he chased me." Ezra nodded. "And now?" she said. Ezra looked at her. "Now," he whispered, "you chase him." The archivist turned his head slightly. "He won't hide," he said. "He won't run. Vincent Hale doesn't fear the law." "What does he fear?" Mira asked. The archivist's stare hardened the truth. Mira leaned back. The SUV drove toward the mountains, toward the compound she remembered only in nightmares, toward the red door where her mother left her final message, and Vincent Hale, he was already waiting, sitting in his office, watching the forest cameras, watching the road, watching the approach of the single person he feared more than death. His daughter. The one mistake he never managed to correct. His lips curled into a smile. "So," he whispered, "you finally remember." The scene cut to black, and Mira's war began. If this story pulled you in, if you felt even one moment of anger, fear, or strength with Mira, drop a comment and tell me what part hit you hardest. Your voice keeps these stories alive. And if you want more twisted, powerful stories just like this, subscribe to RES Stories.